right after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, MAGA was already pointing fingers at Democrats, the radical left, and, of course, trans people.
So you have both the shell casing that directly references transgenderism, and in fact, Charlie Kirk was murdered moments after he was asked a question about transgender mass shootings, and that's when the shooter filed. And so, do we have conclusive proof at this case?
Well, hold on,
no.
Senator. But on the bullet casings, I don't remember there being a transgender one on there. I remember him saying there was one that said, if you can read this, you're gay. It was referencing internet memes.
There is a transgender.
Go ahead.
There's a reference to, do you see my bulge, which is, I'm told, is an online meme for transgenderism.
Wrong.
Ted Cruz continues to be the most reliable source of secondhand embarrassment in American politics. So instead of taking the opportunity to come together, MAGA did what they always do, rushed in, pointed fingers, and screamed that woke leftist ideologies caused this. It's like a political version of Mad Libs, fill in the blank. Gas prices, a hurricane, radioactive shrimp, it doesn't matter. The culprit is always the left.
You mother animals! You liberal, progressive, deranged animals! You are so hateful in your hearts to go out and shoot a young man who's never hurted anyone.
This video's in regards to Charlie Kirk, and this video's for the fucking liberals. It's war, motherfuckers. We're coming for you.
I've watched countless videos like this one, overly dramatic, dripping with rage, and it exposes the real problem, the Republican Party's hypocrisy towards gun violence. Because at the exact same time Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was a shooting at Evergreen High School in Colorado, and Republicans said nothing. Nothing. That's how much they actually care about protecting life, especially when it comes to children. Probably because the Evergreen shooter expressed neo-Nazi views online and was fascinated with mass shootings, radicalized by the same dark corners of the internet that Kirk's suspected shooter was. But if you follow the GOP's logic, or rather Charlie Kirk's own words, gun deaths are just the price of doing business to protect the Second Amendment.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Cool. Glad we've established that dead kids are just collateral damage for the Republican Party's cosplay militia fantasies. But let's be clear, despite Charlie Kirk's racist, sexist, and horrific comments over the years, political violence is not the answer. Killing someone on a college campus isn't protest, it isn't debate. It's a crime, and it should be condemned by everyone.
It's really hard to see this when I see the picture of the shooter and a young radicalized person, and I believe the reports about all of the trans propaganda inscribed on the cartridges in the rifles. I mean, these are exactly the kinds of things. Charlie's crime was talking about God, family, country, all those things that are verboten to Democrats. God forbid you like those things. God forbid you like the Constitution. The true crime is saying, that men can't be women. And men shouldn't be playing in women's sports. I mean, these are not exactly radical concepts, although when the left realizes that you're losing arguments, they resort to this violence. I see the constant, the violence goes both ways, and it does not, Martha. The violence is going one way.
Don Jr. playing the victim here is rich, considering that he laughed off the brutal hammer attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. He literally posted a picture of underwear and a hammer with the caption, "Got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume ready." And according to his dad, Trump recently said that the right would never celebrate something like that.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
Weird, because here's Trump mocking Paul Pelosi right after that exact same attack.
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job.
So let's just get this straight. When it's an attack on the left, it's comedy hour. But when it's an attack on the right, suddenly it's a crime against humanity. Now, this whole the shooter was trans theory started to fall apart as soon as people found out that he was white and his family was MAGA who voted for Trump, as well as the countless photos of him posing with guns. But MAGA wasn't done. Next, they claimed the bullets themselves were trans. Yep, initial ATF reporting misread a set of arrows on the ammo as transgender and anti-fascist ideology. Turns out, it wasn't trans at all. It was literally up, right, down, 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 the Eagle 500-kilogram bomb meme from the video game Helldivers 2. Further proof that Kash Patel's FBI and Trump's other agencies don't know what the they're doing. So when lazy reporting meets MAGA propaganda, publications like the Wall Street Journal and The Guardian had to issue retractions. MAGA even spread photos of shell casings stamped with TRN. They swore it stood for trans, except it didn't. Wrong ammo, wrong narrative. So when that fell apart, they pivoted again, claiming the shooter's roommate was trans based on nothing more than a photo of someone in a onesie. That's the level of evidence that we're dealing with, cosplay pajamas. Then they upped the ante. Not only was the roommate supposedly trans, but also the shooter's lover.
Obsessed much?
Because in MAGA world, you apparently need a romantic trans subplot to explain why an innocent white kid could commit murder, all while ignoring the real problem, which is the guns. Also, it doesn't matter if the shooter was gay or if the roommate was trans, it's irrelevant to the crime that was committed. They also tried to say that his one semester at college was the reason that he committed this murder.
They said he had become more political in recent years. Now, how did that happen? What did he do in recent years? He went to college. Guess what college does? It radicalizes young people. I don't know what happened to this particular man, but that is what college does.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I'm so excited to see Kyren Williams take the field this season. I'm thinking that in the first game, he can have even more than one rushing touchdown. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. PrizePicks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your stakes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the app today and use code Sanchez to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Sanchez to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. But here's where it gets really absurd. At the same time, those same voices claim that this trans roommate lover was also secretly cooperating with the FBI, so in their version, this person is both the villain and the hero. It's less a news story and more a rejected Netflix pilot. So just to recap the MAGA plotline, first the shooter was trans, then the bullets were trans, then the roommate was trans, and finally, the shooter had a trans lover who radicalized them to shoot Charlie Kirk. This is not harmless rhetoric. It paints targets on the backs of the left and feeds the cycle of more attacks. They throw out a scapegoat, skip the proof, and let the outrage machine do the rest. Just look at how Donald Trump politicized Kirk's death and blamed the radical left without any evidence.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
That speech shows you how blatant Trump's partisan double standard really is. And when Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman, her husband, and even their dog were murdered by a Trump supporter, Trump gave it a little more than a shrug. But with Kirk, suddenly it's framed as a cataclysmic national tragedy. And when Trump was recently asked about Hortman in relation to Charlie Kirk, he couldn't be bothered to remember who she was.
Charlie Kirk, in retrospect, given all of the moving ways that this White House has paid tribute to Charlie Kirk, right, do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to have staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. The
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me. People make requests for the lowering of flag, and oftentimes you have to say no because it would be a lot of lowering. The flag would never be up.
And now, Trump is planning to award Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It is wild to think that someone like Charlie Kirk is going to be awarded that when he said things like this.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Or this.
This is something that I hope will make Taylor Swift more conservative. Engage in reality more and get outside of the abstract clouds. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. And most importantly, I can't wait to go to a Taylor Kelsey concert. I can't say it without laughing. You got to change your name. If not, you don't really mean it.
Or how he said the Civil Rights Act was a huge mistake.
And the Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon.
Yeah, and that's the reality. And so we just need to fundamentally relook at a lot of our civil rights legal regime. And without that, even though I don't think it's sort of the magic bullet, but I think without that, there's limits to the amount of progress we're going to make.
Let's talk about discourse and dialogue. This topic would have been even more forbidden 4 or 5 years ago, but it's now becoming in more and more mainstream circles. Is that because the problem is becoming worse, or but our side is more courageous to confront it?
He was nothing more than a political performer who made a career out of spreading lies and hate. He is not someone who should be memorialized or turned into a martyr. Thanks for watching What Was That? If you want more episodes, articles, and breakdowns, go to whatwasthat.show. Join the community and become a paid subscriber today. It's just me behind the scenes, so every bit of support really makes a difference. And if you'd rather listen on the go, you can find What Was That on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your shows. Until next time, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?